In this video, we will be presenting the many aspects of the peak fare system. The purpose of this system is to manage ridership, allowing transit companies to charge fares based on congestion. During peak times, where there's increased demand and congestion, the transit agency shall increase fares. Likewise, during off-peak periods, the cost of transit shall be discounted. The goal of this scheme is to regulate congestion during rush hour periods while promoting higher ridership during off-peak times. But before we discuss how these peaks are managed, we first got to ask, what exactly are peaks? A peak, in the context of transit ridership, is its high point. Typically, these peaks occur roughly at the same time every day. The first peak, known as the morning rush, often occurs from 6 to 9 a.m. when people go to work. A second peak occurs around noon during the lunch rush. The final peak occurs from 4 to 7 p.m. when people return home. There are also various other peaks that occur at other points and indeed on certain days, such as during large sporting events. So what are the benefits of using a peak fare system? Well, there are multiple reasons why people use it. Firstly, it allows them to cover the cost of increased capacity for rush hour. For example, say you have an afternoon rush. Additional vehicles may be needed to transport people home as they normally leave work around the same time. Those added vehicles may not seem economical for transit providers because of the logistics required to pay for those extra vehicles when you account for the fact that they are often stored in the garage during off-peak periods. Having higher fares during peak hours can justify the extra vehicles by effectively making up the lost profits due to their downtime. This system is also intended to reduce congestion. By lowering fares during off-peak periods, they often act as an incentive for riders to avoid using transit when it's congested and instead alter their time schedule to ride when there is less demand. This makes ridership more consistent and less congested overall, and therefore more economically viable. A problem associated with the peak fare system is finding a balance between profit and affordability to achieve peak spreading. A study has shown that an estimated 1% increase in fare cost resulted in a 0.3% decrease in transit ridership. Finding a perfect balance can be difficult for transit companies as there are two potential factors that play into this difficulty. Those are timing and equity. Because some people have strict schedules, they would be unable to take transit during these off-peak times, forcing people to pay more. The issue with equity comes into play for those with low incomes, as they would be unable to pay for ridership and therefore wind up outside of a job. Another problem with the peak fare system is that cities must have sufficient enough ridership to warrant peak spending. Therefore, they are often seen as viable only in cities with large populations. Peak fare systems are relatively simple. Say, for example, you have a metro system with a flat rate of $4 a ride. Should peak pricing be introduced, the fare during rush hour would jump to $6, while the off-peak fare would drop to $2. Despite these flaws, there are many cities around the world whose transit systems use the peak fare system. An example is the London Underground. During peak times, a fare can cost anywhere from the equivalent of 50 cents to $2 Canadian more than what it would cost during off-peak periods. Additionally, the Tube also provides single, one-way tickets for a flat rate, generally at a cost that is higher than your peak fare. Presently, this system isn't used in Canada, but with advancements of technology like Toronto's Presto cards, attempting to implement it won't be as challenging. To conclude, the peak fare system is intended to make transit ridership more consistent by raising costs during busy times and lowering costs when it's quiet. This will keep transportation efficient and economically sustainable. Thank you for your time.